We're live, and we're going to start in just a minute.
All right.
How you doing, Andre?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Awesome. Very excited for Monday. I can't wait till we share our screen and show what we're wearing.
You're excited every Monday.
I am. I do like Mondays.
You do like Mondays, don't you?
I do. Mm-hmm. I do. It's a new week with fresh things in it.
The eternal optimist.
I don't know about that. Okay, starting in a second. Hey, Andre. Oh, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Mm.
What's going on?
Oh, I'm liking this today.
Yeah,
oh,
today? You seem like you usually like it.
I do like it, you got some things going on today.
Yeah. We wanted to be a little bit playful, talking about our staycation and stuff like that. And also, it kind of ties into the last letter of the alphabet, Z or Z, depending on where you are. For zoophilia.
Zoophilia.
Yeah, zoophilia.
So maybe we're going to get into that in a second, but maybe zoophilia is not your thing, but we're talking about kinky desires and sharing fantasies with partners. Because, why not? So we're dressed a little furry today.
Yeah, as we know you are probably too.
Yeah, we hope people are dressed up. Let us know in the chat if you're dressed up. Good morning. Depending on where you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good day. Oh, yeah? Yeah, so... Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's Day to you guys too.
Such mixed blessings about organized holidays like that. You know? It's so commercialized, as everybody knows. But at the same time, maybe it is the opportunity to engage in that way that, we would go out and do that extra little effort. Hopefully we're always doing those extra little things, but this is really a day that says, hey, this day is set for those little gestures, so let's go at it. It's a good reminder in that sense, but it's so commercialized. But anyway,
so maybe people can be really playful today. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Want to be playful every day, but yeah, you're right. Maybe it is a good day for that as well.
Yeah, just a reminder.
Okay.
I just use it as a reminder.
Sure.
I don't think I have to celebrate. I did not get you a card or a present.
Oh no. I was counting on it.
You were counting on it.
So counting.
Oh well, maybe I can give you a present after this. Meow meow.
Hi, Mom.
So if this is the first time joining us, we come welcome. Sometimes we're dressed like this, and sometimes a little less, a little more, I don't know, dressy.
But it is a work day today, so I'm pretty much in my work attire.
Yes, you're missing a few pieces. So we come here live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern to talk about things around relationships, sex, communication, all the things.
Yeah, all things sexual related, right? Sexual identity, sexually relating, sexual issues, whatever it might be. Yeah. It's all good.
So as you said earlier, we've arrived at, if you've been following us, and if you haven't, you can go into the guides and check out, but we've been going through the alphabet just for fun, and we arrived at the letter Z or Z for zoophilia. Yeah. So we thought it was the perfect opportunity to talk about some kinky desires and being playful.
I wonder back in the day how it was introduced, Z or Z. Who came first and how did it become to be?
I have no idea. Maybe something to look up.
Something to look up. Here we are.
So, perhaps you're bored with your sex life and want to spice things up.
Yeah, bored, or maybe just kind of fallen into that COVID routine, right? A lot of people have kind of been, through whatever measures, having to kind of be in this well-known routine. They're not doing things as openly or having the same opportunity as they might once have had. So how could we spice it up today? How might we be a little bit more playful or engaged in this way? So this was part of that.
Yeah, but sometimes I think people get into a routine in terms of their sex life, in terms of doing the same position over and over again, hitting it and quitting it, as they say. Like I was talking to a group of ladies last week, and they were saying how, you might have been doing the same thing over and over for 10 years, and maybe you're tired at the end of the day. And, we are too. And, we don't always make time for play. We don't always play every day or at the end of the day, but sometimes it's important to make time for play.
Yeah, but that's interesting you say at the end of the day, because that is, we're told by experts not to leave it to the end of the day, right? Because we come in at 11, 12, 1 o'clock, and we're kind of tired, and it's like, the effort's not really there. But also, in another sense, it's, I guess, symbolically about, we'll do all these other things, and then if there's any time left over, then we'll get some. as opposed to prioritizing yourself, paying ourselves first, behave yourself. When we make that priority of putting ourselves first, we might demonstrate that way. So, sometimes we hit the ground running and then we might have desire late in the day, or it might impact us. We might be too tired. So can we shift it and find out where we could make a block in time to meet with each other?
Yeah,
or ourselves.
For sure. Like the end of the day is not my jam. I'm more of a morning person. I do get up early in the morning. So by 8 o'clock at night, I'm sort of like.
Sure. But what about that? So you go to launch into your routine. How would you be able then to allocate some time to do other things?
You make it a habit, I guess. You make it a habit and you decide that it's important. And then,
decide that it's important. So you prioritize.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So there maybe you have some kinky desires that you haven't yet shared with your partner.
Well, that's an interesting thing too. So what if I was are rather straight and vanilla, as you know me to be, but then I've got this other fantasy about what would it be like if we were to dress in costumes? What would it be like if we were to open a relationship up? Whatever it is, right? So how do we introduce these ideas? How could we invite the opportunity to talk about these things?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
All right, cool. Sounds like fun.
All right, but people who may not know what zoophilia is may want to know the definition. I think we gave it away a bit in our little video we did on the weekend, a really fun video. But what is zoophilia?
Very good question. Zoophilia is the erotic love of animals, right? So it's not just like, I love cats and dogs necessarily, but it's the erotic play. But there's interesting because we can actually go to that, and there's the question of moral, ethical, legal considerations, or we can also love animals in an approximated way.
Right. So you might get some sexual arousal from petting animals and that sort of thing, but you can, simulate that in different ways. Like I have this little furry vest on, you have this little furry hat, these ears, which and
it's fun because we're going to fantasy, but the approximation part. So you might not necessarily, you might get turned on by the interaction with animals, but then there might be some kind of barrier to, like an incest barrier that says, well, I might fantasize about it, but I wouldn't go to it necessarily. So by being able to go into costume like this, we can approximate that. It's kind of like age play, for example, right? Some people might have this thing where they want to have a huge age difference, and we're not necessarily wanting to actually find an infant to interact with. They wouldn't necessarily be able to give their consent, but we can allow for the fantasy and its expression by the approximation, right? And there's empirical evidence to support the benefits in doing so. Yeah, so it's kind of fun.
Didn't you find some stat about farm animals?
Oh, yes. Where was that stat about farm animals?
I don't know if you ran it down.
Yeah, this is going back a little bit, right? Masters and Johnson, I think it was, it was Kinsley.
It's not in there.
It's not in here?
No.
So the article went back to say it was like in the late 50s, but in the 50s. And at that point, and I guess we were like, well, urban and rural, it doesn't really matter, but they were asking people who worked and lived on farms, farmhands, primarily male, if they had ever had any kind of relations with animals. And I think it was 17%, almost 1 in 5 had admitted to being rather close to their animals, enjoying their work a lot. So, my only issue with that is fine, I guess, but can we make sure that the animal is consenting? Right.
Yes. How does an animal consent?
Well, I guess, if they want to invite themselves into your den, into your home, and then maybe you kind of like put them up, make sure they're fed and taken a look at, but if they still come back and want to do it, maybe that's a form of consent.
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure.
I'm not so sure. I don't think animals can really consent.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, do they consent to live with us? It's an interesting question. Polly wants a cracker.
So part of the reason we're talking about it too is, kinky desires and, what is kink? Like people say that all the time. Like what is kink?
As compared to fetish?
Just in general.
Right.
What is a kink?
Well, kink is an umbrella term to describe the non-conventional acts, I guess, right? Things that kind of fall outside so-called norm. Right. So the average of what most people do, things that go outside of that would be considered a kink. And yet now it's becoming, in many ways, very mainstream, right? So what was once a perversion is now mainstream. Just look at online dating, for example. Back in the day, you would only go to social events to meet people, and then there were the ads that were put in the back of pages, like newspapers and stuff. And then eventually it became online. But even online, I remember back in the day when it first came out, it was not that common. And now, I mean, everybody's there. My mother's on there, right? So, maybe it is still kinky, but what we're talking about are the things that generally fall outside of the average, outside of the so-called norm.
What it's deemed. They say kink because it's a bend in your behavior, but as differentiated by things that would consider more vanilla or, like you said, straight activities. Right. But having said that, I think it's different by individual, right? Like what we might consider kinky might be very vanilla to other people, and what we consider vanilla being not chocolate, vanilla being plain, I guess. I don't know. I like vanilla. Vanilla can be good.
It's sometimes fun to be vanilla.
Yeah.
Well, we got together with a couple the other day that were not in this way of open relating, and being with them in a non-sexual way was kind of kinky. It was very
yeah.
But you know what? Going back to the idea of it being not the norm or thing. The problem with using the word norm for normal is that it kind of has this moral consideration to it, right? It's like a perversion some way. But what we're really saying is that it's not the average thing. We're not trying to quantify it or qualify it, rather, with this estimation of what is normal and what is abnormal.
Exactly.
It's not abnormal. It's just our kink.
And we're thinking of kink in terms of being, you can use kink as a way of changing things up and being playful and fun and that sort of thing. So a kink for anyone could just be something different than what you normally do. Right.
And the idea that it not be looked at as normal, abnormal, it kind of helps to normalize it. So I can be expressive in that way and consider it quite all right. I can just be the way I am, and that's okay too. Whatever we are, it falls someplace on the human spectrum, and that's good.
Drang is saying, is not what you're representing a furry. Yeah, I would say this is more like a furry.
It is.
Kind of. Furries are people who like to dress up in furry things and do all kinds of things.
Well, that can be a bit of a kink as well. And that's
true.
It helps to normalize it. So yes, very good. Thank you for that.
Oh, furries identify as an animal. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So we're approximating animals.
But I often feel animalistic.
You do. Right. Like I might, have marks on me sometimes for when you're feeling a little more animalistic.
All right, so let's get to
anyway.
Where were we?
Well, we were talking about kinks, and then there's also fetishes.
So a fetish is generally believed to be something that is used as a component or perhaps even necessary to become sexually aroused.
Yeah, that's a bit of the difference there. Sometimes I think the terms are used interchangeably.
They are.
But we did a whole live with our awesome guest, Patrick, on the letter K. K is for kink. Hey, Patrick. So you might want to check that out because we talked a lot about kink and how to get involved in kink. And he had a really great BDSM checklist, which is in, we've got it listed in that.
In our guides.
In the guide somewhere, but we can share those links again.
Okay.
So then, are we on to the part where, how do we keep things exciting in our sex life?
That's a good question. Yeah, why don't we go into that?
Yeah.
So how do we?
Well, I think that we are always open to trying something new.
Right. And we're always, I think pretty much, not always, but we try to be not taking ourselves too seriously, right? We are engaging in fun. And it allows
not taking ourselves seriously. We take each other seriously, but not ourselves necessarily.
Not too seriously. So what if I look like who knows what? So what if I proclaim myself to be a certain way? Can I laugh at myself? Can I suspend my own estimations of who I'm supposed to be just long enough to check out something else? I might decide that it's not for me, but I might discover something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, and it's fine to laugh and be playful and that sort of thing. Like we've tried things before, and we're definitely going to try more, I think, with these outfits that we just put together. But, it's just, just being light and being open to it and being okay to laugh at yourself and at the situation. But being just playful about it.
But I got to say, being open to it. So at first, when you were suggesting that we put these on, I was like, no, I'm not really down for it. But then I thought, well, wait a second, what's the worst thing that can happen? Why not just be open to it, right? Why not just allow for it? So it's the openness of mind, the openness of heart. See if you can go beyond what is known to you, beyond your comfort zone, beyond the routine. Safe, consensual, respectful, guaranteed. But allow yourself to go beyond. And another thing that we do often is sharing our fantasies. So your fantasy was that we dress up like this. I was reluctant, hesitant, and now I've taken to it. I think this is great. I think we should always be in this, but it's fun to be.
But I think even going out and buying these things, like we went out yesterday and did some vintage shopping.
What? Those aren't real?
They're not real.
I thought that
but
was
this little furry thing, we went out vintage shopping, and that was super fun just to go out and that in itself, and looking for things like what could we put together that would be fun for our lives. So that's good.
But you and I have a certain comfort level. We're pretty good at our communication stuff. What would you do? How would you do it if you were less familiar with me? If I were less familiar with you, how might you introduce your fantasies or kinks or desires or ideas otherwise?
Well, I was just going to say before you got into that, I was going to say something else about being open to new experiences. Like, for example, on the weekend, we were invited by someone to come to a cuddle party. And we hadn't done that before. We didn't know the people too well, but we went to go and experience that, just for fun.
Yeah. And, it was a rather interesting experience. Wasn't necessarily our jam, but we were remaining open to it.
Yeah.
Right? And then it was just a question of, okay, well, we've seen this, we've experienced it, and now we will go back to our way of being. Right?
Yeah.
So it's
I'd be open to doing that again. Maybe with people that we knew better, or like be more comfortable in that situation.
But I was trying to get to the idea of we can go into it, and then at any point when we want to, we can kind of take back our consent and say, okay, I'm going to tap out here. I'm not I've had my thing, and it's been very nice, but now I'm going to do my other thing.
Yeah. So let's go back. Sorry, we were talking about how to talk about fantasies with partners, or things you want to experience, kink and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So the first thing you can do is, you can put yourself in a situation that might be uncomfortable or interesting, where you would be I'm going to say forced to try it.
Oh, interesting.
You don't know where I'm getting. Well, I'm thinking about our program, our Erotic Exotic Staycation, which is 12 sexy dates. So people, if they join us, they might be able to try some things that they wouldn't maybe feel comfortable expressing to their partner.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's one way. But really, it all comes down to the thing we always talk about, which is communication, right? But it's hard to share your fantasies if it's maybe something that you're embarrassed to share, right? Right,
exactly.
So,
well, what could be more embarrassing than this?
I don't know. But I think,
but that's interesting. Maybe if people see us doing it, or whoever doing it, they might say, wow, what do you think of that? That's kind of strange, weird, right? And the other person might be like, oh yeah, I could never. Or they might say, well, actually, that doesn't look like it's so bad. So we might use another example as something that we do, right? So we watch it in a film and we're like, wow, that looked pretty interesting. What are your ideas about it?
Yeah.
So we might ask questions that would promote that dialogue, the communication idea.
Yeah, because fantasies are invitations. So you're inviting someone to do something. Yeah. So, you can take your time, think about how you might do it before you do it, and be just, you can use some conversation starters like, hey, Andre, I really think it would be hot if you put on some furry ears and a furry hat, and we did some, animal play.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, I like when you purr.
You like when I purr?
Yeah, you're really good. You're really good at that. Yeah. Or you can say, hey, Andre, I've always wanted to be tied up.
Or I might say to you, hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about that? So again, they're invitation. Right? Find ways to invite.
Yeah.
Okay. Manage your expectation. Their partner might not necessarily be down for it, but generally we try to keep an open mind, right? We will at least entertain the idea, if not necessarily do it.
Yeah. You can say, have you ever thought, oh, I just saw this the other day. Have you ever thought of trying XYZ?
Yeah.
That's an option. Or you could say, you can write out, say, I have fantasy to try this. Are you interested?
Oh, I just thought, what if you were to write down 3 of your fantasies and then you ask the person to pick which one they'd like to do? So you're kind of already suggesting that they're going to do one of them. It's kind of
Let's
like,
pick one.
well, it's kind of like when the server, you're taught as a server to go to the table and not say, would you like something to drink? You ask, would you prefer red or white? So you already put it in their mind that they're going to choose white. So which of these fantasies would you like to do? A, B, or C? And then,
yeah. And last week we talked about the sexy sticky notes. So that was the idea of putting a bunch of things down with a partner, like doing it on your own and then putting them out, and you can put them in order of things that you might be find in common.
Interesting you say putting them out and find, because as you were saying that about the sticky notes, I was like, what if you put them in interesting places? Like, you put them in the fridge or something, and then all of a sudden the person goes and they open
I love that idea.
Says, like, come meet me here, or in your underwear drawer, wherever it is.
Little invitations all over the place that you'd find secretly. Oh, that's a fun game. Oh yeah, I love that. Okay, you just
and then some of them aren't always
I have
discovered.
Some ideas.
Some of them aren't always discovered, and then you have your in-laws come over or something, and then they do something. It's like,
they're like, "Where's the cups?" Oh, I would like to blah 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 you. Oh no. Well, I mean,
it's like
it would
Easter
be interesting. It'd be interesting. Right. So, anyways, your partner may or may not be interested in these things, but I think you might find that they actually are. Like when we first introduced each other, when we first talked about opening up our relationship, that was a conversation I wasn't expecting to have.
And neither was I. And it wasn't my experience before, right? I mean, it was, as you said many times, probably too many times, but I was, and I think you were on that template of monogamy where it was going to be the default setting. We get on that relationship escalator, right? We start dating once, twice, 3 or 4 times, and all of a sudden it's like, are you dating anybody else? Or we might not even have that conversation. We kind of just fall into it.
Yeah, they're like, what are we? Like that question.
Right. Yeah. What are we? Right.
Like, what's going on with us?
But I felt like I had to automatically go there, that I couldn't really announce any other way of being. I guess I didn't have the language for it, but I didn't really have the experience that would really be viable to be any other way. So how could I have introduced it?
I'm sorry, I'm just giggling because you're being really serious, and then you've got this out of it. Oh my god, I just want to. All right.
Hold that thought.
There's also, there's books out there. I know I got a book a long time ago. I think I still have it in a drawer of this Invitations to Great Sex that has all these little, you rip them open and you do the thing. It tells you what to do, where to go, what to get, and that sort of thing. And that's super fun. But it's like self-driven, and you may not, I know when I got that book, I was like, ooh, I was always afraid when I opened it up that it would be something that I didn't want to try.
Interesting.
I didn't want to try, but I did try some things with it. Actually, I still have those books. Maybe we should get them.
Maybe we should look at the ones that are the least comfortable and see if we can challenge ourselves to do those. Go outside of our comfort zone, outside of what is known to us.
Yeah. I think going outside of what's known for you is super important, especially in long-term relationships. Like when people have long-term relationships with partners. We were saying earlier how you may end up doing the same thing over and over again. For like 10 years. I think somebody said that to me, and you want to do something different. So you've probably figured out playfulness and having fun is a big priority for us. And it's how we keep things exciting and interesting. And like I believe, I know you believe as well, that fun can be can transform your relationship.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it can open up conversations that you may not have had in a long time. Just change the dynamic of what's going on, which is why we want to invite you to join us on our erotic exotic staycation transformation.
It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, but you may get a mouthful during this. Whoa.
Irresistible, huh?
I couldn't help it.
You could not resist.
Yeah, so this program we've just launched, and it's all about having 12 weeks of 12 sexy dates with your partner and us, live guided by us. So we're going to try things like getting a little bit kinky, maybe doing some rope bondage, trying out some maybe domination and submission, just changing things up, and we'll be your guide. It's going to be in a safe environment, transform your home into a playground, and
Are we going to talk about how we might introduce these to partners, or how we might bring up conversations, how we might make these invitations?
For sure. For sure, we're going to talk about that. Well, part of the experience of it, you'll have those conversations naturally.
Right.
It's not like you're going to say, we're going to make you do this conversation. We're going to say, hey, we're going to try these things.
Okay.
And then we'll walk you through it and make it fun and exciting and playful. And you only have to go as far as you want to go.
Well,
but it's all about having the experiences and trying something new.
Fantastic.
It's not going to be crazy. Don't worry.
I was hoping it'd be a little bit crazy.
Well, it's going to be a little crazy. I mean, I guess it's how far you want to take it.
If we're involved in it, it's going to be a little bit crazy.
But basically, it's about giving yourself permission to do things and explore outside your normal.
Yeah. Mix it up. Break the routine. Challenge ourselves. Okay. And in doing so, right, when we go through situations that are not so comfortable, we end up kind of forming together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And through it too, you can explore things like jealousy and insecurity. Like, how do you feel about seeing other people on screen? Or is anything triggering to you? You know what I mean? There's all those feelings that come up, but it's going to come up through experiences of fun and play.
Right. So there'll be a therapeutic process in the group experience of it.
In part of it. So I'll just,
but not too much work.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
So I'll bring this up. So the Staycation Transformation, 12 Sexy Dates with your partner and TNA live in your home. We're also going to do a weekly group coaching call on another day. So that's where they can ask us questions about what they experienced or things that are going on in your relationship and get any live coaching that you would need. We'll have some activities people can do in between sessions. We'll have a special private Facebook community, a membership site. We're going to have 2 private sessions with us. The first being as you join the program to find out what your goals are and what you want to get out of it so we can make it the best experience for you.
Fantastic.
And then, of course, fun, sexy surprises along the way.
All right. Digging
it. So we will share a couple links in the comments about some of the kink resources. There's a BDSM checklist that Patrick developed. There's also a quiz you can do. And then, of course, we'll put in a link to book a call if you're interested in joining us on the transformation.
You know, that quiz that you're talking about, the BDSM quiz, it's interesting to see how you might score today and how you might have scored 5 years ago and where you might be a few years from now. Yeah, I think that it fluctuates and it moves and it is plastic.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Mr. Furry Kitten, I don't know what you are. You're just a furry animal that I've been really enjoying. So thanks everyone for watching today, and get your fun on today for Valentine's Day. We challenge you to do that.
Fun.
And call us if you want to chat. Talk soon.
Thanks. Bye.